sukham dukkham ayush tasya hitahitam manam cha tacha yatroktam ayurveda sa uchyate. This means Ayurveda guides us from differentiating between favorable and unfavorable things that can lead us to health and happiness and eternal bliss. Health is happiness and peace. So I wish you all a very happy, healthy, long life. Thank you. Now I hand over to Dr. Deepa for a chant of Dhanvantari Mantra to bless us all with the blessings of the God of Ayurveda.
Namami Dhanvantarim Adidevam Surasurir Vandita Padapadmam Loke Jararik Bhayamrutyunasham Dadaramisham Vividaushadina Sarve Janaha Sukhino Bhavantum Sarve Santu Niramaya. Thank you.
That was very beautiful, very lovely, melodious chant of Lord Dhanvantari. Thank you, Dr. Deepa. Now I hand over to start our first session explaining the past, present, and future of Ayurveda. And I hand over to Dr. Vivek. Please introduce Dr. Bhaswati.
On behalf of AAAP, I would like to have our moderator, Dr. Bhaswati Bhattacharya, start this first session on past, present, and future of Ayurveda in North America. Dr. Bhaswati Bhattacharya is a Harvard-educated, licensed, board-certified holistic physician, trained in family medicine and preventive medicine, dividing her time between Manhattan and Benares. She's also a published scientist, trained in pharmacology, neuroscience, and Ayurveda, an awarded educator and a best-selling author. Her work through the Dinacharya Institute focuses on bringing the wisdom and science of authentic traditional medicine such as Ayurveda back to the hands and hearts of the people. Dr. Bhaswati Bhattacharya.
Thank you, Dr. Vivek. Today we are going to work together on learning and listening to a group of people who know a lot about Ayurveda in the United States of America, North America, and several of them have worked throughout the world, including Europe, Africa, and of course, India. We have 4 people who are going to talk to us today about the past, present, and future of Ayurveda, and I will be the moderator. Our 4 speakers are Dr. Virender Sodhi, Dr. Amit Gumman, Dr. Sujatha Reddy, and Dr. Vivek Shanbhag. And I'm saying doctor because that's the convention that we use, but they're all Vaidyas. They're all people who have trained in Ayurvedic medicine. We're going to start first with the past. And to talk about the past, we're going to ask Dr. Virender Sodhi to give us a summary. Dr. Virender Sodhi was the first Ayurvedic and naturopathic combined physician in the United States. He earned his MD in Ayurveda in 1980 from Dayanand Ayurvedic Medical College in Jalandhar, and served as a college professor in India until the mid-80s, 1986, when the Indian government selected him to share Ayurveda with the Western Society as part of a cultural exchange program. He finished his fellowship in integrative oncology with Mark Rosenberg in 2012. And after arriving in the US, he enrolled at Bastyr, Bastyr College, as you all know, is the premier and nationally recognized school of naturopathic medicine in Kenmore and Bothell, Washington. He received his ND naturopathic degree from Bastyr in 1988 and was subsequently invited to join the faculty at Bastyr to teach Ayurvedic sciences. He taught at Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine in Scottsdale, Arizona, at the National College of Naturopathic Medicine in Portland, at the University of Bridgeport in Connecticut, at the University of Washington School of Pharmacy, and in Des Moines, the University of Iowa. You can read more about him on the website of AAAP. And he is going to speak first, and then we are going to have additional comments by the other three speakers who I will then introduce. But to get started, let's hear from Dr. Virender.
Since Dr. Sodhi is having some technical problem, let me answer the question.
Could you tell us about the past of Ayurveda in the US?
The past of Ayurveda in US is the story of many of us who are here in the audience. So many of us who did Ayurvedic degrees at various universities in India, whether it was BMS, MD Ayurveda or PhD Ayurveda, came to this country maybe as tourists, maybe as family members, and sought opportunities to share the information with who were interested. First, maybe with family, friends, neighbors, and then eventually many of us were invited at educational institutions, at healthcare institutions, at medical institutions to share information about Ayurveda, Ayurvedic healing, and Ayurvedic wisdom. And as Ayurveda got introduced in last 40 years or so, many schools got started here in the US. And the teachers who were first visitors now were more of regular school coordinators, school administrators, and were teaching various courses right from just a weekend course to 100 hours course, 500 hours course, and eventually thousands hours of a course. So during that process, along with teaching, there were consultations that were happening, and medicines were brought by the Vaidyas who were coming from India and using those. After about good 2 decades of that kind of a process, we had a whole group of Vaidyas who had come here and settled. And I remember that back in 1980s, it was Dr. Lad, Dr. Virender Sodhi, and I came to Seattle in 89. And we were facing the problem that the 8 years of training done for MD Ayurveda was not recognized here, was not acknowledged here. And we were told that we had to recertify ourselves, re-educate ourselves, and take local board exams. So many of us did that because Dr. Sodhi, I remember, did his naturopathic doctorate at Bastyr University. I did my naturopathic doctorate at Bastyr University. We answered our board exams, and we were licensed to practice in various states. There are many of us who also focused more on teaching, more on writing, more on sharing about Ayurvedic lifestyle, Ayurvedic nutrition, Ayurvedic herbology. So teaching and practice has been going on in US for more than 40 years. And in that time, many Ayurvedic graduates, many of them women who got married to software engineers or professors or businessmen, came here to this country and would try to see how they can start their Ayurveda career here. Mostly the interest was to practice as a healthcare practitioner, but there was no easy way for that. And they would start somewhere by teaching at yoga centers or teaching at local community centers. As various schools were established, many of the BMS doctors started training local people with 200 hours certificate courses, 500 hours certificate, 150 hours of certificate courses. And I myself ran one of those schools in Seattle under the name Ayu Academy, affiliated with Bastyr University. Later on, Bastyr got interested in starting an Ayurveda medicine department, and we started a department there. In the meantime, Dr. Lad established the Ayurveda Institute. Dr. Frawley had the Vedic Institute, and there were Mark Halpern's California College of Ayurveda, Dr. J. Apte's Ayurveda Institute of America, and many schools got established everywhere, and students were graduating. They were doing lifestyle counseling. They were bringing herbs and importing herbs from India. But the main problems continued, which was there was no government recognition for Ayurveda. People coming from India, their 5.5 years, 8 years of training was not being recognized. And as a result, the profession was stifling. Many of the Ayurvedic graduates chose to do local degrees like acupuncture, psychotherapy, or even massage therapist and nutritionist. And currently, as we come to the current area, we will see that Ayurveda has a bright future, which Dr. Amit Gumman will share later on.
Vivek, this is a very good start. Thank you. There is more to say. I want to give the other panelists a chance also to chime in about the past before we go to the present and the future. So we have 3 other people.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So thank you, Vivek, for the very detailed information. I remember when we first met, I came to meet you in California. I flew to meet you, and then, we started our relationship from there. It has been very interesting journey. So like when I came to this country, the first thing is like your relatives were not very in favor of you. What they were saying, you are bad, you just only can make puris, those small herbal preparations which you have no knowledge, you don't have a competence to become a physician in this country. So that was very insulting, if anything. But that also, actually, I think I really appreciate that now, because that gave me a little more fierce power to fight that. Say, okay, no, we are not only, we had a very wonderful training. We have studied all the modern sciences. We have perfect knowledge of pathology as anybody else can be. And, to prove yourself. So I think that started the very wonderful journey of learning, more learning. And I think one of the other thing which I like to share is the incident which happened with me as soon as I graduated. There was a patient who got toxicity and was seen by other physician, I don't want to name, and she got a heavy metal toxicity. And what happened, the FDA got involved with this stuff, and FDA came to my clinic and raided all my supplements, took all those samples and did the investigation. Luckily, I didn't have any heavy metals in my preparations at that time, but that also made me to think differently and start Ayush herbs. And that was the beginning of Ayush herbs. So I think there is a very interesting thing which has happened, and we have all kind of learned from the mistakes which has been done knowingly or unknowingly. And that's one of the beginning, I think, which I will see is for wonderful, better future. So I don't know, I just wanted to chime in that for, and if you want me to continue, I can continue.
Dr. Sodhi, maybe we lost Dr. Bhaswati. If you can continue, that'll be fine.
Okay, all right. Yeah, okay, I think we're having some interesting technical issues since morning.
But yeah, she's in India right now.
What is that?
She's in India right now.
I know. Okay. Yeah, so I think one of the wonderful things which Vivek has said, that, you know, we all have started different ways and different kind of stuff, and there has been not a single identity which can unite together all these people. And now there's several thousand Ayurvedic physicians in this country. When we started, we were only few. I was the one, Dr. Ladd was the other one, and I didn't know any other. I think then I knew Vivek. I did find some other people when people will call me, but most of them has come in the early 60s. And at that time, there was no difference between Ayurvedic degree and a regular degree. So they went for a regular medical school, they got the board pass. And few of the people I met, they went into psychiatry or neurology, and they graduated and they start practicing. They forgot that they were Ayurvedic doctor. And actually one of the interesting factors, they were kind of fierce. You know, they were condemning Ayurvedic medicine. They were Ayurvedic doctors themselves, but they were trying to put it down because, you know, they have become that regular medical physician in this country. So, and it was interesting to see their perspective. They were saying, oh, you know, we have done this, you know, the Ayurvedic medicine is not very effective. And which was, again, you know, not the truth. And basically, I think the science which is now been proving what we have studied for several thousands of years, that what we have done in Ayurvedic medicine is one of the best modalities of healing. The latest research, latest genomic research, latest molecular biology studies, all are helping us to understand the level of depth which we have studied in Ayurvedic medicine more better. So that's very exciting to me, especially because I love the research. I love to read more on this kind of stuff. And every time I read it, it makes me more excited. So, wow, this is what was known to us previously on the science of epigenetics and the molecular biology. And then we talk about the genome, the Prakriti models and how the different, the genomes are, you know, activated in those processes. So all those are very exciting for me. And I believe what the initiation has been started by Dr. Gumman, Dr. Shanbhag, and all this team he has collected together, Sujatha, Dr. Bhattacharya, all, you know, I don't know all the names. It is a wonderful, very well needed for the future of Ayurvedic medicine in this country. And it's not easy, you know, because I can come from my point of view. I'm crazily busy with the lots of stuff, being a physician, being a CEO of the company, being a lecturer, and also being a husband and a grandfather. And, you know, we all are very, very busy. So I really want to appreciate this initiative. And it takes a lot of time because I have been on many different boards and the temples and stuff. And it's always very easy to blame other people, you know, put the stuff on, you didn't do this or didn't do that. But I think we all should appreciate the initiative. Whatever we can do, even a 1 cent worth, we should add into this whole, the momentum which we are getting up. And I will promise that my momentum is with you guys, and I'm going to help you, whatever I can do, and get these things moving forward so we can establish in maybe a couple of years, and maybe 3, 4, 5 years, a good kind of precedence there where people will be able to look underneath it and this is, wow, this is a good, and we are now a licensed identity in this country.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Sujatha Reddy, what's your comment on Ayurveda in the past?
You know,
Did you want to say
came
something?
This country about 30 years ago. At that time, I just felt like I was put in a big ocean in the United States and I was lost. And how to swim, I had to figure it out. I remember calling Dr. Sodhi too. And at that time, what I used to hear is, you know, Mahesh Yogi in Iowa has a 100-bed hospital, Ayurveda hospital. And I was like, wow, you know, how is that done? And, you know, how can I get connected? And, you know, how can I learn? And so at that time, you know, it was definitely a challenge for me. But like you know, Dr. Vivek and Dr. Sodhi have said, you know, it has been a long journey. And we still feel as BAMS graduates, you know, we are still trying to swim. And, you know, and plus we have seen the mainstream interest in the population. So I think we will get there soon.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Dr. Amit.
So thank you so much, and especially to Dr. Sodhi. You had been a role model for a lot of us. My journey started in 1994 when I moved here, And I had options between Oklahoma, California, and Hawaii to teach there. And I chose Oklahoma. I remember saying that you want to sell shoes where nobody wears footwear. So I thought, well, this is where I belong. And I got accepted to OU Health Science Center to do my master's in public health. And I started my practice here with another acupuncturist. So in 1994 in Oklahoma, just to give a little background about the past here in Oklahoma, as you know, Oklahoma is known as the buckle of Bible Belt. So it's a cowboy state and native state. So there was a lot of resistance when I first started here. In fact, people would come to me, and then they would talk to their pastor or their preacher at the school, at their church. And the pastors would say, stay away from Eastern medicine or Indian medicine. They are devil worshippers. So I had a lot of resistance here. It was tough, especially in Oklahoma, where there's no awareness of Ayurveda. Even now, there's not much of awareness of Ayurveda in Oklahoma. But I realized that you don't have to teach or preach or practice Ayurveda. Human beings are human beings. They are suffering and they are in need of help. If we come with that approach, I felt I would be able to connect better rather than teaching Ayurveda or Ayurvedic lifestyle. So in my practice, I took off the whole thing of the Ayurvedic vocabulary, because as human beings, they just needed help. They needed some relief from the sufferings, from their pain, from their. So that's how it all started out, is to be able to connect with them. And as they say, the proof of the pudding is in eating. And behold, people started feeling better. And now we see almost 500 patients every month, and we are one of the, we see a lot of patients, and many of them are pastors, preachers, school teachers. We see everyone, cowboys. They don't care whether it's Ayurveda, whether it is acupuncture or what philosophy, and what I always tell people is like, when you like Chinese food, people here actually they do love buffets, eat all you can. So I said, when you can eat Chinese food, why can't you eat Indian food or Indian medicine? It's medicine is medicine, healing is healing. So it was about blending in with the people here, with the local people, doing a lot of radio shows, communication. I think that is of essence, is to be able to communicate with people here, to be able to connect with them, heart to heart and mind to mind. And that's what it took to start from that 27 years ago as a little foreign medicine practitioner in this cowboy state to, we see people from big time politicians to a lot of physicians are our patients, a lot of politicians, lawyers. I mean, we see all kind of people here from the womb to the tomb.
So, Amit, Gumman, you have told us about the past, and then you're telling us about the present of how you practice. Many people think that Ayurveda is just a preventive lifestyle. So can you take us from the past into the present and talk about how you, with your Ayurvedic medical degree from Government Ayurveda Medical College in Hyderabad, to your diploma in naturopathy, to your certification in yoga as a yoga instructor, to your practices as an alternative medicine doctor. Can you talk about the present and what you actually see in those 500 patients per month? What kind of diseases do you treat? And maybe a little bit about the modalities of what the present practice of Ayurveda in the United States looks like. Is it only prevention, or are you actually intervening? How are you practicing?
Well, 95% of the patients or the clients we see are for therapeutic intervention, because they are suffering. They have some medical condition which is not responding to the conventional medical treatments. So they are looking for alternative to. Many of them are referred by their regular physicians, especially in oncology. I had my training in integrative oncology at MD Anderson's and at Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. So many of the complications, say from chemotherapy, from radiation, so many of the oncologists, they would be referring their patients to us. So I think it was about connecting with the practitioners in the state and communicating with them, and for them to know, okay, this is where there are more help available for their patients. So that's how it started out. And so most of the people we see are for chronic conditions too, chronic autoimmune, especially rheumatoid. We see a lot of stroke patients. We see a lot of pain management, a lot of migraines, a lot of neurological conditions. So we see a wide spectrum of patients. Lots for infertility. We work with many reproductive endocrinologists. So when people are going through IVF or through, then they use us, and the success rate is almost doubled.
And Amit ji, could you talk about where you get these medicines from? Many people have the idea that you can't get actual Ayurvedic formulations in the USA. In fact, I've been to seminars in India where they say that no medicines are available in the USA, everything is illegal, and therefore all that the Avaidyas and BAMS doctors in the USA use is yoga and lifestyle and some Ayurvedic nutrition. Can you talk about herbal formulations?
Sure, absolutely. So when I started out 27 years ago, there were hardly any products available. In fact, I had to bring it with myself, or if anyone is coming from India, I would have to have them, bring some from Himalaya or anything like that. There were a few formulations available at that time. It was mostly from Dabur. But when we looked at their formulations, they had content of many fillers and preservatives, and our patients were not comfortable with it. They had a lot of parabens and things like that. Even now, if you look at many of the products which are coming from India, they would have parabens and many fillers there. So, of course, Dr. Sodhi was one of the pioneers in manufacturing, and they have great products. But in Oklahoma, where we serve, we were looking for some cost-effective products and effective too, where people can afford. So we got into manufacturing it ourselves. So we started working with the farmers in India, working with major extractors and manufacturer for the raw materials there, and then we would bring them here to Oklahoma and manufacture here in Oklahoma in the FDA certified facilities, which are GMP certified, where we monitor all the heavy metals, where microbiologicals and contaminations are tested. And that's what Dr. Sodhi is doing. There are many more people who are doing the same thing. So I think, as I said, the proof of the pudding is in eating. And when people can feel the benefit of our Ayurvedic product, that's key to the success of your practice too. If you are looking for some cheaper products which are available in the Indian grocery stores, you don't get that benefit. So I think it's the key is again to, as one of the main pillars of Ayurveda is, apart from the Dinacharya, is also good support with herbs. Of course, we cannot use any. Go ahead.
Go ahead, finish.
So that is the keys to have high quality products will be the key to where people can feel the benefit.
So Amit, someone's asking about where you're located and the brand of your products that you make. Can you mention Harmony and where you are?
Yeah, we are in Oklahoma City, and our website is harmonyveda.com. But again, I don't want it to be a conflict of interest here. But again, yeah, we are in Oklahoma City. Harmonyveda.com is our website.
Great.
And being trained in Ayurveda, in naturopathic medicine, and in modern medicine. So we kind of have an integrative line to where we combine the best of Eastern, Western, modern, and ancient.
Yes. And do you get other products from India, such as bhasmas, arishtam, dhurithams, and others. Do you ever access those? And if someone is watching today and wants to access those in the USA, what would you advise them?
Well, we do not use any bhasmas, as of now, since the FDA has banned them. We do not use any of the bhasmas, any of the mercurial or any of the heavy metal preparations. All our preparations are plant-based, safe, and non-toxic.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have others on the panel that I also wanted to ask about the present. So I'm going to shift for a bit and talk about the present and some of the demographics. You all have heard from Dr. Vivek Shanbhag already. He is both an Ayurvedic physician trained at Karnataka University and Pune University for his MD. And then he later came to the US and trained as a naturopathic physician, which he mentioned when he was talking about the past of Ayurveda. And so like Dr. Virender Sodhi, he worked at Bastyr, first gained his ND at Bastyr and then worked there, and is now licensed in California and practices at Natural Medicine and Ayurveda Clinic in San Jose, California. He directs a team of 6 integrative health experts and has over 30 years of experience as a clinician and is also a teacher. As a combined Ayurvedic and naturopathic specialist, he also has his own medicine line, which he's going to talk about. And he's been teaching at different Ayurvedic colleges around the country, but is now serving as a professor at 3 of the Ayurvedic colleges in California. Now, back during his MD Ayurveda studies, he was a gold medalist researcher. He was an awarded educator, and he's been a teacher for many, many, many people through the IU Academy, which was around in the mid-2000s. He was also the chairman of the Ayurveda department at Bastyr University. And so their master's program that they have there in Ayurveda knows Dr. Vivek Shanbhag very well. He moved to Goa for a few years for several career-changing, shifting things. And it gave him a chance to do his singing and his hiking. Many of you know he is a Sanskrit rapper. And I have had many, many enjoyable nights listening to his entertainment. He's also a very humorous person. And he's a best-selling author of a book called Introduction to Ayurvedic Medicine by Keats Publishing. And as you all know, he is the founder, director, president of AAAP. Dr. Vivek, after that introduction, can you tell us a little bit about the demographics and some of the statistics about the present situation of Ayurveda today? Just for a couple of minutes. Vivek? I don't see Vivek.
Yeah, some technical issue just logged off. Yes.
Okay. Could you just talk for a couple of minutes about the present situation of Ayurveda? Because this is what sets up this foundation of why AAAP needed to be started. Just the present situation.
Okay, I guess I'll take that question till we have Vivek back online.
Could we have Sujatha chime in as well? Would you mind?
Yes. Yes.
Sujatha. So let me tell everyone a little bit about Sujatha. Sujatha is a licensed psychotherapist, coach, and Ayurvedic doctor. She looks at the therapeutic process of mental health from a holistic viewpoint and integrates mind, body, and spirit as part of her training as an Ayurvedic doctor. But now working in the US, she focuses on the whole person and not this way of looking at mental health that modern medicine tends to look at, where everything is very pieced and looked at in terms of molecules, but rather on the whole mind, body, and soul. She emphasizes wellness, and she looks at concepts of self-realization and various practices within the Ayurvedic mental health world. She works as she owns a wellness franchise of Humanly in Lakewood, Colorado, and has been working there for the last 6 years with a group of mental health and other alternative wellness professionals, and has 2 companies called Heartland Wellness and Reddy Holdings. She is our mental health specialist on the board of directors at AAAP and knows very well about the present situation of Ayurveda in the country because she's been leading the Colorama, the Colorado Ayurvedic Medical Association group, through the credentialing and licensing process. So Dr. Sujatha, could you talk to us a little bit about the present situation of Ayurveda in the USA?
So at present, Ayurveda is actually in a major transition. It is doing everything it can, to get on the map in the United States. There are various organizations, other national organizations doing the same thing. One thing that AAAP, was started is based on some of the little, lackings of the other organization. And I'm pretty sure parallelly we can all collaborate and work together. But here in the present, we don't have a licensure, we don't have a certification process, we don't have a registration process to satisfy the mainstream, because everywhere we go, we are asked, do you have a license? And we don't. And that seems to be an accepted norm. And I think that is where our last goal is, our vision is, but we don't know yet where, we are going to progress towards that. In that aspect, I actually would want to, talk about AAAP's vision. Is that okay? Okay. So one of the things that, what we have as AAAP, the vision of AAAP is to bring together the Ayurvedic professionals on a uniform platform and give them a voice. So having said that, we want to empower and support Ayurveda professionals to enhance clinical skills. We all know that we graduate and we don't have a place to go, to train for internship and to practice our clinical skills. So that's one thing that we want to do. And then educate the professionals in practice management skills, which we are not taught as graduates, how to even start a practice, and enhance the education through coursework from various institutions globally with certifications and specialties to add to their accolades. And we want to provide supervision, resources, and peer support to the Ayurvedic practitioners. One of the main things is the BAMS, MD, and PhD, PhD Ayurvedic professionals. We want to honor them and further train them and certify them to practice and teach Ayurveda in the USA. Because as we all know, we talked about is that, yes, we have different certification levels, but as BAMS graduates, we are somehow put in a general pool and we cannot distinguish ourselves. So that's one of the visions that we have, is to train them and certify them as as Ayurveda doctors. Another one is to collaborate with existing national and state organizations to join hands in working together to bring standardized, authentic Ayurvedic education that can be accredited in the USA. We want to collaborate with Ayurvedic schools and universities to adopt, offer, and teach the standardized, authentic Ayurvedic syllabus once it is established. Through accredited schools and universities, students can become eligible for student loans and other mainstream benefits that they need. Another collaboration is with clinical establishments to provide clinical internship to graduates in USA and India. We wanted to see if we can develop a bridge program and reciprocity for Ayurvedic education and clinical training with universities and hospitals in USA, India, and other countries. And one of the main things for establishing, whether we call it registration, certification, or licensure, is they look towards a regulatory board. So we want to try to establish a regulatory board, and with hosting a database of Ayurvedic practitioners to protect the consumer as well as the practitioner. And one of the things we did in Colorama is to try for licensure. And this is one thing they found was they could not find any case that was causing harm through Ayurvedic medicine. So one of the reasons for not giving us licensure is they felt, well, when no one is harmed, why license you? Lastly, we want to also support and assist state organizations to educate state regulatory boards about Ayurveda and work towards certification, licensure, and registration in whatever form that they would need us to help them. And not to forget, we have to bring awareness to the public about Ayurveda through community events. So this looks like a lot that we have on our plate. And I welcome everybody on this platform, to join us and move towards this vision to establish Ayurveda in its true, authentic form in North America.
Sujatha, you have done a great job of segueing from the present situation of Ayurveda into the vision for the future. There are a couple of questions that are being asked in the chat group that I'm wondering if you can address before I introduce Dr. Vivek again. I think he's back from the technical difficulty. The question was, how is this new group AAAP different from NAMA, and why was it necessary to start a new group?
Again, I mentioned that there are, major national organizations working towards most of the things that I have mentioned. One of the things we felt is also to bring authentic Ayurveda into, the mainstream culture. And I feel like we have a diluted form of teachings of Ayurveda currently, and we need to establish a really original, authentic syllabus, to be taught, not just in the United States, so that we can, globally it's accepted. Wherever we go, there is reciprocity with the syllabus. Of course, we have to consider the limitations that we have, in this country to practice. That does not mean that we cannot give that education.
Right. Thank you. Can you also, actually, I'll shift back and forth since this is a panel discussion. Thank you, Dr. Sujatha. Dr. Gumman, can you talk about some of the other degrees that people hold in addition to being Ayurvedic doctors that allow them to become licensed or certified medical professionals until we get a process of licensure for the Ayurvedic training itself? Dr. Gumman, are you there?
Sure. Yes, I'm here. Thank you so much, Dr. Bhaswati. In my case, I had done my master's in public health, went back to medical school, did my regular medicine, did not do my licensure as MD because Oklahoma is a health freedom state where we have much more liberty and freedom in the practice of healing arts. So, but what we see mostly is like people do go for acupuncture, which I did. I did my doctorate in acupuncture too. In fact, I used to be the president for the Oklahoma Acupuncture Association for a few terms. So yes, most of the Ayurvedic people have been using other healing modalities like Dr. Sodhi, Dr. Shanbhag, did naturopathic medicine. I did MD or a MPH. So yes, and I think that's what is the key is here is how you will be able to blend in with the medical society here. Thank you.
Thank you, Amit. Yes. Dr. Virender, could you mention any other certifications or licenses that people use that Amit and Dr. Sujatha have not mentioned so far? Dr. Virender?
Yeah, thank you. So basically what I've seen is people have massage licenses and they are practicing on massage licenses. People also have an acupuncture degree. A lot of actually Ayurvedic physician who has done acupuncture degrees too. Then I have also seen people doing nutrition degrees, and then practicing under that umbrella. So people has, some of the people actually has gone to medical schools and done that way too. So which is interesting and good, but I think they all is out of frustration because since they're not able to practice what they have been taught in India. So when they come over here and they have the desire to help people and want to practice, so they have taken this modality, different modalities to get licensed in this country and practice. So I think that's
a really good point.
And to add on nursing, many people have taken up nursing programs too.
Nursing program, yes, you're right.
And that's what I think is one of the goals of AAAP here, is again to kind of diversify here, is to be able to help all these Ayurvedic practitioners to be able to hold a platform for them to be able to start their practices, so that they don't have to go through all the struggles we went through. So that's one of the aims also of AAP, is for all the new Ayurvedic physicians coming in from India to be able to hold a space for them and to be able to support
That's
them.
right. That's right. And to advise them based on which areas of Ayurveda they most want to practice,
Yes.
which kind of licensure or certification in the USA, in the Office of Health Professions, state by state, would be the best for them.
Exactly.
So there are many people that have taken.
Yeah, so I actually have another slide that I have posted links on, if that can be put up on the screen. That can give you links to certain state. There is one link that I put up. I don't know if that can be put up on the screen, my slide, the second one. It has some
So
links.
what we'll do,
Yes.
what we'll do is we'll put those up at the end. We also have Dr. Vivek, who has now come back. And we want to talk about the, so we've talked about the past and where Ayurvedic physicians came, how they came into the country and where they settled and how they settled. We talked about the present. So we talked about all the different degrees that they take in order to be able to practice, or the health freedom states in which they can practice on their own. So there are 10, 12, if you count that. Anyway, let's say 10 to 12 states that are health freedom states where they can practice legally, as long as they don't claim to be physicians, but they are practicing their own art as Ayurveda. And there are many people that practice under other kinds of professions, emphasizing that part or that specialty of Ayurveda in their practice. We also have people who are practicing yoga from India who come to America and emphasize that side of what's called Ayurvedic yoga. And there are several different permutations. Now, in terms of the numbers, we'll be listening to Dr. Shekhar in about 10, 15 minutes. The organization APNA has certainly gathered the names and numbers and what's going on in the US with Ayurvedic physicians. The last estimate that I saw was that there were 700 Ayurvedic BAMS physicians in the USA. They are practicing at all different levels of involvement. And it was through those conversations with Dr. Shekhar and Dr. Vivek that Dr. Vivek came up with this idea that there's something that is an unmet need, and that is for those people that come from India or have been settled here for some time and want to start reusing their background or their training as Ayurvedic physicians, to find a central place, a central resource. So I've introduced the backgrounds of all four of our panelists. And now Dr. Shanbhag, as the founder president of AAP, is going to talk to you about why it came to the place where we actually couldn't use the resources that the other groups have and needed something that is a focused way to fast forward into the goals that Dr. Sujatha mentioned.